right, hey Vikings fans, we're back, baby. Football's back.
Skol!
Skol.
Let's go!
And the Vikings got the dub week 1. What are your initial thoughts, man? What do you think?
I mean, obviously, anytime you see a victory in purple, it's always a good day, especially on a week where the Packers lost a few days ago. Not to be that fan, but I kind of am that fan a little bit. Looks like the Bears are going to pull it out and maybe win, but oh well, it's a good day for the Vikings. I think Dustin Baker tweeted out not too long ago that this is literally the first time in like many years that Vikings fans can actually just like relax and watch the fourth quarter, knowing like we probably got the victory in the hands. So it's a good feeling. It's really fun.
Yeah. All right, so that leads me into kind of my first specific question about the game. Did the Vikings overperform or did the Giants underperform, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Everybody's going to be too quick to make judgments, good or bad, after one game, especially, we've been brewing all offseason. Who's good, who's bad? I mean, even this Vikings-Giants game, the Vegas had it down to a pick-em. I think the Vikings ended being favored by 1 point. It just seemed like nobody knew what to do. I think Daniel Jones, he has continued to show what he is and who he is as a quarterback. Not that great unless it's against the Vikings in 2022. And the Vikings, I mean, we know KOC is a good coach, good offensive mind. We know Flores is a good defensive mind. It was really nice to see those things come to fruition. And I think I tweeted a little bit earlier. It was nice to have this dominant win without the help of a superstar performance. We didn't need JJ to have 500 yards and 10 touchdowns. Sorry, Justin Jefferson. We didn't need that crazy 10 interception performance or something that breaks record books. It was a team win, and it was really fun to see.
Yeah, it seems like on offense, everything was pretty balanced. I would still prefer to see a little bit more balance between the run game and the pass game.
Yeah.
I thought, especially in the second half when they were up by so much, I thought maybe we'd see a little more ground and pound just to wear down the clock. But all in all, you really can't complain with what you saw on offense. And then the defense, man, I think they really just shined. I thought they looked like the best unit on the team, and that's not throwing any shade at special teams or offense. Yep. But you can just see that imprint of Brian Flores as a coach on that defense. The guys that have been on the team for a few years now and have been in that system are really comfortable in it, and they're comfortable flying around. They're comfortable, doing some of those crazy stunts. And then the new guys, holy cow, some of those new additions, both free agency signings and draft picks, they were fun to watch. It was a great day on defense.
Yep. Dallas Turner got his first sack. That was awesome. And Andrew Van Ginkel, you texted me at some point in the game, about midway through the game, like, man, Van Ginkel's everywhere.
He is.
And you texted me that before he had that pick six.
I think it was minutes before, and then all of a sudden he comes up with a pick six. That was awesome.
Yeah, him specifically, Van Ginkel, over the offseason, I was kind of worried. Like, he's got an injury. He wasn't a super cheap veteran. He also wasn't like a crazy big free agency signing, but expensive enough. And then he just had an injury all offseason. But Dustin Baker did talk me down. He did say, like, no, don't worry. Van Ginkel's actually good. Like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And that injury doesn't seem anything big. And at least in this first game, he looked really good along with everybody else on the defense.
So who would you give game balls to?
Oh, man, you got to give it to Sam Darnold first off. I know that's the cliche answer. The quarterback gets the victory. But he had a lot of pressure. I mean, he's a guy that's been talked down. Like, he was a third overall pick, and he hasn't really shown much of anything. He's had flashes, but hasn't gotten good breaks anywhere. And at least for today, Sam Darnold was the quarterback the Vikings needed. I think he overperformed what anybody really thought he could do. And again, I don't want to overreact over one game against the Giants, who very well may end up being a terrible team when this is all said and done. But today, my game ball goes to Sam Darnold.
Nice. Yeah.
What about you?
I would say, since you took Sam Darnold, he's on my list. I think The next best candidate would be Van Ginkel for sure. That pick six was really fun to watch. And like I was texting you, and even after I texted this to you, he was in on almost every play on defense. The guy just has a nose for the ball. He finds it and he gets in. And I mean, he's kind of reminiscent of a younger Harrison Smith that way. He is like a magnet to the ball, and it was fun to watch. I think a sleeper pick for me would be Pat Jones. He got a sack there at the end, and had another sack earlier in the game. I know Dallas Turner also had a sack. But for a guy that's been around for a little bit now, I think he's starting to find his fit in this defensive scheme as well. There was that one play, he almost got home, and Daniel Jones kind of juked him out of his shoes a little bit, and he missed the sack. But, man, he came off the line unguarded, and it was just kind of mind-blowing. And I think the commentators were even saying, like, why do you leave a guy like that uncovered on the line? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. So he could be a sleeper pick for a game ball on the defensive side as well. All right, a couple other questions for you. We'll wrap this up. Areas of focus as they get back into practice this week and prepare to take on the 49ers next week. What would you hope that they work on in practice this week?
Yeah, that's another good question. I think penalties, it didn't end up ruining the day, but there were a couple of weird penalties. I noticed a couple of times, the Vikings did get called, or maybe they didn't end up getting called for a delay of game, but there were a couple of times they had to burn a timeout to avoid that. But even outside of that, I was noticing like their regular offense, not like a hurry up, they seem to be using most of the play clock. And I don't know if that's normal or if that's going to be normal, but it's something I noticed that thought was kind of out of the ordinary today. And that may get better as Darnold and KOC kind of learn how to play with each other more as the season goes on. But hopefully that's not something that bites the Vikings in the butt here coming throughout the season. So maybe getting that flow of calling the plays and understanding the game between coach and quarterback a little bit more.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think there were 2 delay of games that they ended up not taking the penalty, but they burned the timeout instead because KOC got it in right before they called the penalty. Honestly, the second one, I think I texted you this, I would have just rather have seen them take the penalty and not waste the timeout. And, I mean, at that point, I think it was midway through the third quarter. There was still a lot of game left, and you never know if you need those extra timeouts. It limits your ability to make challenges if there are big plays that are questionable down the stretch, too. So, I think there's some just game management, timeout management stuff that KOC is still trying to iron out.
Yeah,
I agree with you. It's definitely a chemistry thing between Sam Darnold and KOC, and I think once they get on the same page, I think we'll see them start to roll. And it was pretty evident early on in the game that the offense started to move. After the first drive, Darnold took that sack in the first drive, and things kind of petered out pretty quickly. But after that, they really found a rhythm. We've already said it, but they spread the ball out really nicely. We were able to run the ball somewhat effectively. It wasn't perfect, and I'd like to see more. But yeah, I think ironing out some of those things too this week in practice would be great. You've got a formidable opponent in the 49ers coming to US Bank Stadium next week. So yeah, they'll have their hands full for sure. All right, last, hopefully we can do this in like 30 seconds here, so this doesn't turn into like a full-blown episode for us. In other games outside of the Vikings Giants game, Fields or Cousins, who played better, Pittsburgh v. Atlanta?
I mean, I guess I didn't see the actual final result. Sure, Pittsburgh won, but I did tweet out the stat lines mid-game of Sam Darnold versus Kirk Cousins, and they both have the same excuses, Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. They both have the same, hey, they're on a new team. Hey, there's a lot of expectations. But, I mean, at least for today, Sam Darnold played better than Kirk Cousins. And Cousins ended up with, I think, 2 picks. So I think by default, just for the win and the lack of turnovers, you got to say Fields played better than Cousins today, which is mind-boggling because I think Fields needs to be a running back anyway. So it is kind of fun for us Vikings fans to kind of be like, hey, Cousins, it kind of sucks to suck a little bit. I'm on record, and it's still true. I'm a Kirk Cousins fan, but it is still kind of fun. I mean, it's sports. We got to have fun with it. It's kind of fun to say, like, maybe we are better off with Sam Darnold right now.
definitely some vindication. And I was shocked when I checked the box score of that game and I saw that Justin Fields had a better passer rating than Kirk Cousins. And that's kind of why that question came up. It was just kind of interesting. All right, last one here. Jordan Love, I think it's pretty well known now that it was his MCL. I don't know that that's like 100% official, but I think people are kind of like 90 to 95% certain that that's what the injury for Jordan was when they took on who'd they play? The Eagles. There it is.
Yeah.
When they played the Eagles in Brazil. When do you think he returns? Are we going to see Jordan Love healthy, what is it, week 3, week 4, when the Vikings take on the Packers? Or will we have to wait until later on in the season to see Jordan Love suit up against the Vikings?
From what I'm seeing on Twitter is it's not going to be a season ender. He might be out a few weeks. And theoretically, he could be back for the Vikings game. I don't know. I almost hope he is because you want to take the Packers at their strongest. And you never root for injuries, but strategically, and like it would be nice to have the Packers not have their starting quarterback for a few weeks. But if he's ready to go for the Vikings, I say bring it on. Hopefully, this defense can scheme around and play a fully healthy Jordan Love.
All right. Well, time will tell, I guess. And best wishes to Jordan Love as he heals up. You never like to see a guy get injured, but it would be advantageous for the Vikings to not have to worry about him. And play against a second-string quarterback when they take on the Packers. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Well, it was fun to see the Vikings get the dub this week. They're 1-0. It's a good feeling. Yeah. We'll have a whole lot more to unpack and talk about on our full episode, which will be released later this week. But it's been fun to kind of just recap our kind of immediate reactions to the game. You got any final thoughts?
Episode 57 coming out later this week. We will not have to unveil the Purple Punishments segment because we both picked the Giants to lose against the Vikings this week, and obviously that's what happened. So you got to wait at least another week for the Purple Punishments, but that'll be fun. It'll hit. I know it'll be guaranteed to hit because we didn't pick every game the same way. So we'll get there when we get there.
And in full transparency, it gives us a little more time to go shopping and get all the stuff we need for it.
Prepare for those things, yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm excited to record tomorrow night with you. I think there's only one thing left to say. Skol.
Skol.